I genuinely want to understand what the obsession is with sex in really life. What's up, guys? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna be talking about sex, and this is like the first of maybe like 2 or 3 videos where I'm gonna be talking about this. The other ones, or one of the other ones, are gonna be from a Christocentric point of view. This one is just from, it's also a general point of view. If you haven't already, subscribe. If you've watched a bunch of my videos and you're not subscribed, I mean, like, why? Stay in the comment section to be ready to comment your thoughts, your opinions and stuff. Be kind and everything, and like this video, and let's get into it. I have been reading a lot of books lately, and I am currently doing a challenge to read 5 books in the enemies to lovers trope for my 500 subscriber video. And 4 out of the 5 books, okay, 3 out of the 5 books were explicit, and 4 out of 5 involved sex. And I am genuinely confused as to the obsession with sex in not only fiction, but just in life in general. Like in media, in everything. Like, why are people so obsessed with sex? And I don't mean in the sense of people having sex. I mean in the sense of people constantly portraying sex as if everybody is having sex. Because I think we both know that not everybody is having sex. I did this survey months ago because I was going to do a video on sex like I am doing now, but the video was going to be a whole different thing, and I might still make that video. That one is from a Christocentric point of view, but this is just me being really confused as to why like there were so many explicit scenes in the books I was reading. And it's not the first time I'm encountering this. I have so many books I've read that I'm just like, wow, okay. And what made it worse, or what makes it worse, is that I read those books when I was a teenager. I mean, it was in the genre targeted at teenagers. And yes, as much as I love Sarah J Maas's books, I'm talking about those books as well. I'm also talking about books like After. I'm talking about, okay, you sign up on Wattpad, you're 13. You can read anything you want. You can read anything you want. The only thing that's there is disclaimer: this book is explicit and it's meant for 18-year-olds. Read at your own discretion. And that's not against the author, right? Because you can read whatever you want. I mean, you can write whatever you want, but like, the organization should put things in place to protect children, and there's absolutely nothing like that. There's nothing like that. There's nothing in place to protect children from watching explicit things, because as far as I am concerned, they don't want to protect children from these things. If you want to protect children from something, you are going to. If you don't want to, you're not going to. And I remember reading all these books when I was 15, 16, 17, and it really messed me up. Like, it really affected my state of mind. Not only the false romance portrayed, but also the explicit, overly explicit scenes. Like, it's literally porn sometimes. And it's really, I don't even know if the word is scary, but it's really upsetting to me to have to read through those, especially when you don't want to. Like, I read a description of a book and I'm like, oh, this book sounds nice. And then the first 2 chapters are talking about how the main character is thinking about losing her virginity because, you know, she doesn't really own her life per se. She doesn't have that much freedom, and so that's something she can control. And it really just went on and on, and it didn't particularly go on and on in the sense of the sex scene went on and on, but it just kept talking about it. And here is me, a 21-year-old, like, okay, I haven't had sex, but I know a lot of people that haven't had sex and they are not so obsessed with having sex, you know. And I also know people that have had sex or that have sex. It's not like I am so covered, you know, unexposed to stuff. I'm exposed to a lot of things, and I have unknowingly exposed myself to a lot of things. It's just really again, I don't know if the word is scary. Thinking of doing this video made me think of another video I watched. I will try and find it and put it in the description. And the person was talking about the Euphoria series. And when Euphoria first came out, I was really, really, really into it, especially because of Zendaya. Because it's Zendaya. And I watched through everything, and I remember whether it was the second episode or something, I was like, okay, I know HBO is explicit, and HBO was the channel that used to show explicit stuff late at night. But like, I really didn't expect it. I'm sure the rating was R, but if you're telling people that you're making this is one of the points the person made, and it just resounded in with me. And she said, if you're telling people that the show is R rated, that means it's explicit. No problem. But then you're making a show about teenagers and making it explicit. And teenagers are not going to be allowed, at least they're not meant to, watch that show. And only adults are meant to watch that show. So adults are watching this show about teenagers being explicit. And it doesn't mean that teenagers are not explicit, right? Because again, I know people that do certain stuff. I know that teenagers can be really explicit, but it's not, despite the way media makes it seem, it's really not the majority, and it is going to be the majority soon if something isn't done about it. Because if media keeps portraying that this is what people do, more people are going to do that, if that makes sense. And so when she said that, it was like, so who are you targeting? What is the purpose of the show? Okay, if you say the purpose of the show is to show what teenagers do and show what teenagers go through with the drugs and the alcohol and the sex, yes, and the depression and all those things. I mean, we've all watched movies where people are kissing and then maybe they fall on a bed and then they look at each other and then they kiss again and then the scene fades to black. We all know what happened, and then the next scene is them in bed. Like, we all know that they had sex. You don't need to show us that they had sex. It's not necessary. And again, back to books that I have read and I am currently reading, I really don't need paragraphs. I don't need paragraphs describing the action. Like, we all know how sex works. We know how sex works. And it's like, what is actually the point of all that? Let's take, for example, someone that struggles with pornography and they're trying to cleanse themselves of all these explicit things, because despite the way the media or Hollywood likes to make it seem, constantly consuming sexual explicit content is not healthy. Like, go and do proper research. It's bad for your brain. But let's take someone that's trying to get away from pornography, or someone that is a recovering porn addict, and so they pick up this book which has it says nothing about it going to be explicit, and you're minding your business reading, and then suddenly you think, okay, yeah, this is obviously, I know this is what's gonna happen. But then they don't stop with I know this is what's gonna happen. They go on to describe in detail, and it's like, why? And then what makes it worse is that it is targeted at young people. Like, why? I know no one can particularly answer this question. It's just something that really confused me, because again, like I said, 3 out of the books were really, really explicit. And that's 3 out of 5 being explicit. One of them, I mean, 4 out of 5, the sex was mentioned. That one, it wasn't super explicit, but it was like, y'all can really tone it back some. But it wasn't as explicit as the other 3. And this is 3 out of 5 again. I have read, and you wouldn't really know. If I'm reading a book, I'm not going to go online, and maybe I should, but I wouldn't normally go online like, does this book have explicit scenes? Because, like, at least put that as a warning in your book description, because obviously I'm going to read the description of a book before I read the book. I would really love a warning that what I'm getting myself into can be slightly damaging. Because again, back to that ex-porn addict or someone struggling with getting off. How much self-control do you want that person to have to it's like a drug addict, okay, or an alcoholic, and you put a bottle like that's so disrespectful, to be very honest, to invite a drug addict to a bar, or to invite a drug addict to a party and not tell the person that people are going to be drinking around them, and so that they can mentally prepare themselves for that. Like, I hope I'm making sense. Like, I really hope I'm making sense, because I don't want this to be a rant video. I just genuinely want to talk about this because it's annoying. I remember watching this, I think it was on the Dylan is in Trouble channel, and people asked him questions or for advice or something, and then one of the questions was someone asking about sex and how the person is scared that they're going to be a virgin forever and something. And it made me really sad, because if you don't have sex, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Like, why have we made sex so overrated? Which I am happy that someone did say that they believe sex can be and is low-key overrated. We have made people feel that if they don't have sex, or if they don't want to have sex, then they are the anomaly. Everybody's having sex. Your friends are having sex, so why aren't you having sex? And then you're gonna feel pressured to do that as well. And it's not because you want to, it's because you are being pressured. And here's the funny thing about pressure: it can be very subliminal. It's little by little by little, and it's basically, this may sound like ooh, but it's like basically brainwashing someone, right? So if I constantly, and it's like gaslighting, if I constantly tell someone that they are ugly, right, and I say it in the most roundabout way, I don't go about saying you are ugly, you know, I say it in little ways, like wow, your nose is it's a little and I just make that person constantly feel insecure about themselves. They are going to, at the end of the day, feel as if they are ugly. That's just life. That's just how the brain works. When you give out signals, whether obviously or little by little, the brain is going to take that and it's going to seem as if it's normal. So one of the questions I asked was, do you think the media we consume, TV, music, magazines, books, conditions us to believe premarital sex is normal and even good? And 96.7% said yes. No one said no. The other option was maybe. So 96.7% said yes, and then some people said maybe, or like one person said maybe, and then no one said no. And that just shows you. And these are the girls' responses. Yes. I'm gonna go to the guys' responses. I didn't get as many responses from the guys, and I don't know why. I think I need new guy friends, because the ones I have, clearly, I don't know, they just, because if I remember right, I did send it to a lot of people, and I put it everywhere I could, so why didn't you respond? Out of the 9 people that responded, 55.6 said that they have had sex. And someone said, a guy, I didn't want to but felt pressured. Do you believe the media we consume, again, conditions us to believe premarital sex is normal and even good? And 100% said yes. Sex sells. It makes sex seem more casual, almost self-evident, with one example being that WAP was the song of the year last year. Have you ever been pressured to have sex? 44% said yes. Why? Like, why does the media, again, it comes down to me saying that it feels like there is some sort of agenda, and that may sound like a conspiracy theory or something, but I don't know if you've ever just asked yourself, like, why does sex sell? I mean, I know why sex sells, but like, why are people being pressured to have sex? Why is sex being marketed to kids? Why is sex being marketed to teenagers? Why is it everywhere? And apart from the fact that it sells, because they're good shows without sex. We all love Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I know that about 95% of people were irritated when they found out that Netflix wanted to age up the characters so that it could be more explicit or something. I'm like, why? Again, it's more than the fact that sex sells. Why are we conditioning children? Why are we conditioning kids to want sex, to have sex, to believe that everyone is having sex? Because I I don't think I am the only person that has heard the narrative that forget about finding a guy that has never had sex, because that's an anomaly. Like, you're hardly gonna find a guy that hasn't had sex, and that's such a lie. That is such a lie, and it makes girls feel like, okay, well, if I'm not gonna be able to find a guy that has sex, like, why should he have all the fun? But it's a lie. It's a lie, and again, I'm happy that this has not turned into a rant video, because I'm genuinely concerned and genuinely curious as to why it's so prevalent. Again, to me, it's more than the fact that sex sells. Like, it has to be more than that. And I know that there's a deeper spiritual answer to that, but in the circular way of looking at things, I don't know if any of you have ever just asked yourself, why does this why do these books just have so many sex scenes that it's very, very explicit and can really, really mess up a teenager? Because now I know that Sarah J Maas's books, they're being re-sold as adult fiction and not young adults, because I had no business reading that when I was 15. And having been exposed to so many things, when I'm talking to some people I know that are a lot younger than me, I'm so fearful of the stuff they get into. Like, I want them to read. I'm so happy that they read. But it's like, please don't find this book to read. At least find it when you are 18 plus. Because, again, I know for a fact that it messes with people, because it messed with me. And for example, this is just like the toxic side of stuff. We would read so many books about toxic relationships, really, that are being portrayed as normal and nice and good, and in these books the characters would hate themselves. And this is kind of like why I got into reading the enemies to lovers trope, like 5 in that trope, because I was really curious, like, why I was so into it before. But I would read all these books about how the main characters hate themselves, and when they're arguing, the way that they would solve the argument is by kissing, and most times having sex. And I don't understand. That's not a way to resolve anything. That doesn't resolve anything. And this is when I consciously realized how much that messed me up. I was watching Pride and Prejudice, and that rain scene, that iconic rain scene, when they were arguing and just going back and forth, I was like, oh my god, are they gonna kiss? Oh my god, it would be so cute if they kiss right now. And then it's like, no, it actually would not be cute if they kissed right now. Like, why why would that be cute? And it just made me conscious, like, wait, why do I think this is cute? Like, where did I get that idea from? Because people can say, and people can lie to themselves, that what we consume does not affect us. It's a lie. You are lying to yourself, just the same way that what you eat affects you, what you see, what you listen to affects you. Because nobody can tell me, unless you're lying to yourself and you're not living consciously, that listening to sex songs does not make you think about sex more. You can't tell me that. You can't. And if you're consuming media that's constantly portraying sex in a certain way, casual, regular, like, it doesn't really matter, you're unconsciously going to view sex in that way. That is science. You guys love science, right? See, man, I'm a Christian, and I don't believe that science contradicts God, because as far as I am concerned, as a Christian, God created science in some way. So I don't believe that science contradicts God. And you know the funny thing? Let me just start with the funny thing. A lot of scientists don't believe that either. It's journalists that are writing all these articles that portrays like that. Like, science does not contradict God. Sorry. And so it is science. Like, it's in the Bible, and it is scientific that what you constantly consume, what you constantly look at, what you constantly listen to, is going to affect you. It's going to affect what's going to come out of you. It's science. It's life. It's just facts. I just really hope that you guys are understanding what I'm saying. And if you want to read explicit content, you can go online. There are sites for that. I remember in middle school. Was it middle school? No, it was ninth grade. Chemistry class. I think one of my chemistry teacher, and I think he left his phone or something. And so us as the students, being silly, we took his phone and just like, oh, what is he doing on his phone? And we saw some things. And so there are sites for you to read. In fact, unfortunately, you can go to Wattpad and read those type of things. Like, if you're into that, but like, I need a warning. I just need to be warned. This book is explicit. Be warned. This, and thankfully movies have that rating as well. Sexual content, blah blah blah. But you know what's crazy to me? Movies that are currently rated PG-13 are explicit, and I'm so confused. Why should my 13-year-old, why should anybody's 13-year-old be watching explicit content? Like, make it make sense. And the thing with sex and explicitity and explicit stuff is that you get some, you want more. And it's not for everyone. It's the same way it's not for everybody that they have the tendency to be an alcoholic. But the thing with explicit content, sexually explicit content, is that it does something to your body and to your mind. And so you're gonna want more. And if you expose a child to this, a 13-year-old is a child. 14-year-old is a child. 15-year-old is a child. If you expose them to this, they're going to seek it out, and then they're going to fall into this hole of wanting more and seeking out more, and then they've messed up their sexual life. I'm a believer that God created sex. God is not, I don't know how to word it, but I don't believe that God created sex only for reproduction, unless it wouldn't be enjoyable. I mean, unless you can show me a verse that the Bible says don't enjoy sex. Because in Songs of Solomon, it is like, enjoy your wife, enjoy her. You people should enjoy each other. You know, so it's not like God doesn't want us to enjoy having sex, but He knows why. Again, I'm not trying to turn this specific video into a spiritual one. That's a whole nother video that I'm going to do. But there are reasons why should not be catered. Let me just put it like that. There are reasons why, and one of them being that they can get addicted to it easily. So I'm not trying to make this video like super long. I'm just putting that out there. Like, why is media, apart from the answer that sex sells, why is media, why are books, why should I say the West, really? I don't know, so obsessed with sex and catering sex to kids? So on that note, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was maybe slightly eye-opening, maybe, yeah, I don't know. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I post videos every Tuesday and Thursday, unless the copyright people, because I've been posting more reaction videos, unless the copyright people just don't like me, then it just messes with my whole schedule. But yeah, I would also like to know you guys' experiences. If you do want to take part in that survey, you can like tell me and I'll give you the link somehow. But I don't want to put it in the description box. I will also try to find a video about Euphoria. It's a long video. I'll put that also in the description box. And like, did I say? Yeah, like this video. And I'll see you guys in the next one.